But the game is everything. The game is everything. It transcends the individual, it transcends the club, it transcends our inter-county rivalry. The essence of the game is what we want to see, can we make better. So one of the things that's interesting is, if I was to ask everybody, what is success? So if I'm a county chairman or of a club, I suppose the immediate thing to say is we want to win the championship this year. Now, we all want to win the championship, but only one team wins the championship. Only one team wins the All-Ireland. Most of us lose in this room. If you look at even this morning when Eamon Hennessy was presenting, the success rates of even the most successful teams, 60%, 66%, 70%. The last game, only one team wins the last game of the season. So all of us, in a sense, have to ask ourselves the question is, and continuously ask ourselves the question is, what are we doing and how do you measure that success? And the question for us all as coaches, before we enter into this, is what should define you? Winning gives you a sense of credibility, it gives you a sense of fame, but is it what you want? Ultimately, all the time to be looking to be winner, winner, winner. Yeah? Because sometimes you're going to lose. The winners write their own history, but my view is that the coaches as well, you have to have a strong belief in the ethics of what you're doing in success. So success can mean winning some games, most games, developing players, developing a style of play, little bits and pieces during the year when you do better than last year. And you should never throw away those, or never let your team throw away those. And one of the things that I would always say is, what did we do well today? And the critical thing for me is, as a coach, don't let other people define you. You have to be really strong and say, well, okay, nobody knows better than a coach who's lost or a manager who's lost what that means. But if you let it define you, you're not going to be able to lead your team the next week, the next 6 months, the next year. So I think you've got to be able to think about structure and performance, about what you're setting up and why you're setting it up. And that goes back to my first slide. What is the game you want to play? What are the values you want to have around you? And what's your measure of success? As I said, winning is critical. And we get that testosterone jump from winning. We all do. The feeling it gives you is crucial. But sometimes you have to have something else also running along. And set those goals that reflect your views and not anybody else's. And I tell you, it's a hard thing to do if you've lost 2 or 3 games in the trot. So everybody has a story. But it has to be your story. I've seen people come to training sessions that I have done. I've seen other people going to other managers or coaches, and it's relentless sort of writing down what you've just been doing and seeing, can I use that? Can I use that? That's fine, as long as you're creating a narrative for your team, or a story for your team that is your team. People again want you to be like the winners, but you've got to develop something that fits your team. What team have you got? And you've got to build that around it. If you're manager of Tipperary, you've got to build your story around that team. You can't build it around another team that plays another way, that are stronger. You can learn from them, but you've got to have your own identity. Because without that identity, at the first sign of trouble, you're going to fold. So that's what you have to create, and hopefully the structures within it are created, because it's not only the coach does it, it's the county board does it, it's the people you have around you does it. You need all that to be successful. It's hard enough to be successful anyway, but without that around you to have that common vision. And the best teams have it. And I would point again to Kilkenny, having that supportive structure around their team, that to know exactly what it is they want to achieve. The values that you have, we take these for granted. These are words that we're often used now, new words like honesty, self-respect, humility, all of those things that we take for granted in our normal life, that are important to us. If you're trying to transfer values to your children, or, you mightn't always call them those things, but you'll want those things. These are also important in successful teams. And the example, the much hectic example of the All Blacks, and when Graham Henry came back, he had to reinvent the value of the All Black, 8 years ago, or 12 years ago now. Yeah, as to what, to remind ourselves. And we have to constantly remind ourselves about those values because they're hard learned and they're easily lost. And when they're lost, you simply don't get them back in a day. They have to be relearned as well. So you have to take the time and in a sense, to assert those. The high-level goals, the question is, you have to know what you want to do, and the team has got to know it with you. There's no point in you coming in and setting goals for a team and saying, this is what I want to do. If the group is looking at you and saying, well, it may be what you want to do, but we're not sure yet what it is, what it's what we want to do. And maybe we don't believe we can do it. So therefore you have to set goals that maybe are incremental, that can be changed when you believe the team are ready for another set of goals, or to move up another rung. So I think you've got to be really careful and try to know the team, but you've got to set them and you've got to include people. The inclusiveness. In my view, everybody in the setup is critical. So if you come in as a manager or coach and expect that immediately, that you're the man that's going to lead this, or be the only one that'll take this over the line, it's wrong. Because one of the things, you've got to be constantly challenged. So you've got to find people in your group, in your management group, in your backroom team that will challenge you. If you don't have people who will challenge in your backroom team, you're not learning much. So you've got to choose people around you who will challenge, but yet who will be loyal and supportive. And you have to include them. There's no point in having people if you exclude them from decision making and so on. And the old thing again that we're realizing more and more, whether it's in real life work or in sport, people matter first and foremost and last. Yeah? And again, this is what you're dealing with all the time. You're dealing with people, and players and people are first, and developing that culture takes time. I always found it funny when the journalist said to me, your team, or Eamon O'Shea's Tipperary, and I never felt that I owned anything. When I was involved in Tipperary or whatever team I'm involved in, I have simply been given the privilege, right, of representing a tradition and a sporting sort of virtue within a county, and I've been for a short time at the head of it. So when you think about that, if you thought it's that which gives you the confidence. So therefore, if you have that confidence out there, you sometimes got to relax. You can't control everything. Everything can't be when you go into a session and say, you know what, we're under pressure. So if you lose 2 or 3 league games, you can't go in the next Tuesday night and say, let's run under serious pressure here. Something has to be done. And the players looking at you, and you're coming in and saying, I'm not sure what has to be done here. So you go the next day and you say, okay, let's go out and enjoy ourselves. Let's go out and play. Let's go out and do something different. Let's go out and, again, put more pressure on ourselves. So relax. It's a sporting organisation. It's a game of community. Yeah? If you don't win the championship, there will be short-term grief. Why didn't you win? There will be criticism. But it's a game. It's a community. We are not premiership managers. You are not a premiership manager managing your own under-12 team. Or managing the Tipperary team. We are community in the GAA. Some of us lose and some of us win. All of us want to win. But the essence of the game is that you can't control everything within the game.